around this time, I went over to Captain Crunch's basement one night. He's sitting there on a teletype, which was the only affordable input-output devices. There were some video terminals around, but they were still many times, you know, like, it was like $1,500 for a teletype and $3,000 for a video terminal, much more expensive. So the teletype would clunk, 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 type 10 characters per second. Very slow. Well, I went down to his basement and he's there typing away, playing chess. And he's yapping about this network, ARPANET, and how you can connect to computers all over the country, and you just log into them and they have guest accounts, and they make certain programs available, or games, or files available to look at and explore. And you know, you cannot delete anything from it. It's a guest system. You don't have access to their whole computer. And I became so intrigued by the fact that these are computer games, and I've been intrigued already by the video games coming along. Computer games in that day could not have flying saucers flying around, because they don't fly around very good on a teletype. The games of that day would print out a line that would give you a little hint of information, and the biggest game that ever came along of that style was Adventure. But it would give you a little bit of information, and you'd type an answer or a guess, and then it would give you more information, and you'd try to work your way through unseen mazes and the like. But it was only text. It would talk to you, you would talk back. Nothing moved in a graphic sense. That was the object to do. Well, Crunch would also phone a local time-sharing outlet that had a local low-cost computer available. And he would play games on that one. Well, it became my goal. I wanted a terminal now. I can play games right in my house if I have a terminal. And I can impress everybody, because there isn't one person in maybe 1,000 to 1,000,000 that does this. So I designed myself a terminal. And I designed a modem, and of course I couldn't afford an input-output device of any sort at all, so I designed it to attach to my TV set, using a little character generator ROM to put characters on the TV set at home. If you own a TV set, your cost was 0, and that was all I could afford. The year is 1975, and video display terminals, little video terminals that you can build in your home, have been catching the public eye in the hobbyist magazines like Popular Electronics and Radio Electronics. And you could actually build yourself. For a couple $100, you can build a terminal and tons of parts and soldering it together, but eventually it uses your TV set and you can actually afford it. A bunch of computers started coming out around this time. And they had come out just preceding 1975, but the big computer that came out was called the Altair 8800. And let me describe it. It looked pretty much like a microprocessor-based mini computer. It looked like all the other mini computers that had been in existence for the last 7 years. It was a big, square, rectangular box with the exact same row of switches on the front, the exact same row of lights on the front, and a ton of slots that someday you can plug things in when they become available. The computer was first introduced as a simple little machine with 256 bytes of RAM and switches to toggle bytes in and lights to look at what's there, and not a single board available. This product caught on like wildfire. It was $300 to $400. All of a sudden, this world who had been excluded from computers, they cost millions of dollars. You were not allowed to get near the computer at school or at work. There were computing departments that you had to go through to get your access. All of a sudden, you could own a computer, and the only thing that mattered was, by the definition of computer, it's a computer. It didn't matter that it could do something. You didn't have to say it can play a game. You didn't have to say it can do my financing. It can do some calculation for me. It didn't even have to do my math homework. It's a computer. I can show it to friends and say, this is actually a computer. The hobbyists that got onto the first one started writing interesting programs that would play tunes on the computer, and eventually some plug-in boards came out to add memory. To add a video terminal came out. A couple of video terminals that you could plug in and have a video terminal, but nobody accepted the fact yet that the video terminals were finally inexpensive enough that they ought to be built into every single one of these computers. About 20 computers of this sort came out. They were all kits. The Apple I is going to be the first break from the kit world. They were all kits, meaning you were expected to take a soldering iron and bolt all the transformers in place and the capacitors and solder all the wires and connect up huge wires up to your front panel, and then you'd have to toggle the switches to try to get it to work. I mean, it was a nightmare for anyone except for a technician.